Soundoff live. This is live, unlike some that are pre-recorded, but we go direct live, unedited. Anything can happen.
Unedited. So anything can happen. Say swear words on here, we can't take it out.
Anything can happen. So here we are tonight. It's been a long time. I actually can't remember the last one I did. It's been a while. I've been sick, so you know. Thanks for the patience with Luc Clement here. We've rescheduled a couple, and here we are finally back with one. We're gonna have a good little chat tonight about Winnipeg and Luc Clement Productions, and dig into a little bit of music. So let's start off clean. Why don't you introduce yourself, Luc?
Yeah, so my name's Luc Clement. Some of you have probably seen me at some shows. I've been kind of pretty active, just kind of going to shows in the scene for the past couple years. I grew up playing in bands all my life. Messed around a lot in the studio when I was younger too, so it's nothing new for me. But I've definitely kind of started taking it a lot more seriously in the past couple of years. But I do not play in any bands at the moment, but because I'm kind of more focused on producing at the moment. But yeah, I've kind of been. I used to play in punk bands when I was like 13. Made a lot of albums, and I kind of just I fell in love, I guess, with producing and recording when when I was in a band, and I kind of saw the process and just how records were made, and that just I don't know, kind of blew my mind, and that's kind of what sparked the passion for me. So yeah, very cool stuff.
Awesome, awesome. So discovering you myself, you kind of came across one of my feeds one day, and I saw Luc Clement Productions. Obviously, talked to a couple of people, and finally met you in person at the Tap
Yeah,
House one night, which
yeah,
was pretty cool. And
yep.
guitar players can talk for hours. So
Uh, oh man, anything music, like
yeah,
yeah. Once you get those two guys together, yeah, it's a long night for sure.
exactly right.
Yeah.
So Luc Clement Productions, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I kind of started it so back when COVID hit, we were all locked up. So like I said, I had recorded a lot you know, in the past. But I decided to enroll in a training program with a guy named Jordan Valeriot. He's produced bands like Emery, Silverstein, a lot of big label artists. So I decided to do some training with him, and yeah, I kind of really I took the basically the whole year to really just invest into more training and just accelerate my craft to the next level. And it kind of sparked once I went through that training, it kind of sparked the interest to just get back out and start making records at a higher level than I was doing before. So yeah, I basically just I opened up a studio, and then I just got some more gear and just went at it and started projects. I basically started off with just doing some collaborations with artists, and I'm still doing some now. They're super fun projects. I've also worked with Pure Entry on some of their stuff. I did an EP and some singles with them. So yeah, so that's kind of how I started, and it's been just continuing to grow from there in the past couple of years. So yeah.
Awesome, awesome. So shortened version, but maybe give us a rundown of anyone who hasn't done studio time or anything. Just kind of where does it start? Where does it end?
It really depends. Like I like to do. I mean, in most of the projects that I've done, I haven't typically done a lot of pre-production, because sometimes it's just a bit of a time constraint. But a lot of the time, it starts off with like, a band will send a song, we'll listen to it, kind of spark some ideas off of that, and then it's just a process of like building blocks, right? So we're starting with the drums, you're layering guitars, you're layering vocals. A lot of the time too, like you'll be in the middle of a song, and until you kind of hear it on speakers, more ideas start sparking and like, hey, let's add this here. So it never really ends as you're going. You're just constantly kind of like, for me anyways, when you hear the song at a more polished level, you start seeing where, hey, let's add this here, let's add that there. And it really makes the difference to me, like between just keeping things simple versus like, I always like to think of like a song as, how can we make this next level? What else can we add to make this? And sometimes you don't need much. It just depends on the style of production that you're going for. But I've noticed over the years, I don't know, just sometimes just adding just small things can just make a huge difference. So yeah.
Hmm. Absolutely. Um, so one thing I wanted to bring up with you, have a little talk about this one.
Yeah.
A song that's kind of blown up my my streaming services for the last little bit, Summer of '69, but not Brian Adams.
Yes,
Summer
not
of
Brian
'69.
Adams.
We got a cover
Yes.
of it that yourself you did with some other artists
Yeah. Yeah.
in town here. I believe they were all local.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
give us a rundown of the song. Fantastic, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's so basically, well, if any of the guys that were on or watching it, huge shout out to them because they absolutely crushed the performances. But yeah, basically, I'm really good friends with some of the members in Also Ran. They're a local pop punk band here in Winnipeg, and yeah, it just kind of started with I had been going to watch lots of their shows, and I'm really good friends with John too, their bass player. And I just kind of had this idea because there's a lot of different versions of Summer of '69 out there. Like I know Buck Cherry did a version. I think there's some other ones too. But I remember hearing that song, and I was like, man, it'd be so cool to like redo that song, but like a pop punk version of it. Because I grew up listening to pop punk and Summer of '69. Like I was a huge Brian Adams fan, so that's kind of where the idea sparked. And then it was just kind of like, okay, who can I ask to feature on this? And then I talked to some of the guys from Also Ran, so and then we kind of just started off from there. Got the drums in, singer came in, and then the same thing with this. Like I had no idea. I had an idea of how I wanted to sound, but like this song really developed when in the middle of the tracking process. I'm like, okay, I want to add gang vocals here. I want to add this there. So it didn't come together until we literally started doing it, if that makes sense. So yeah, it's just I'm really happy with how it turned out. The vision of what I wanted was exactly there once we finished it. So
Hmm. Yeah, the gang vocals adds uh, kind of a modern sound to it, right? And
yeah, yeah,
yeah, it's just you did such a great job with it. And I know we talked previously about the Ataris doing Boys of Summer, and I
yeah,
said it reminded me of how they modernized that song.
yep,
A lot of people didn't know it was a cover. There's a lot of people there that they just don't know the old Don Henley version, right? And
yeah,
it's kind of, oh, that's an Atari song. Well, it's not an Atari song, but they made it their own, right?
exactly,
And
yeah, yeah.
I feel that's kind of what happened with your Summer of '69 too. It stuck to the original, but it just modernized it. So yeah, just
Yeah, and that's ultimately like if I'm gonna do a cover of a song, like it's easy to just copy what somebody else doing, but that's never my goal in mind. It's like how can I make this like I want it to like keep the original character of the song and have the elements of the song so that you can recognize it, but how can I make this my own, right? Like I want this to reflect like something unique, right? Because that's what makes it special, right? It's easy to just do the exact same parts of a song, but when you add different like every single person that's on that song also has a unique style. Like the singer from Also Ran has a very pop punk voice, which is perfect. The drummer. So everybody brings uniqueness to the song, and then
mhm.
you as the producer also brings uniqueness. So it's really like it's a really collaborative effort, and that's really what made the whole song, right? That's why these kind of projects are so fun. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, right?
Yeah.
You mentioned the band Also Ran, which I'm not really familiar with,
Yep.
but I know they're playing the Tap House at the
They
end of the
are.
month
Yes.
with
Yep.
Sleepless, and Brad from Sleepless is on
Yep. Yep.
Summer of '69. He's on the gang vocals, I
Yes,
believe,
he's
right?
on the gang vocals. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it was a lot of
He's
fun.
such a nice guy.
Yeah, he's great. Yeah. I
You,
remember
mm,
like when we were doing the gang vocals, like I had him and another guy. So we're just two guys, right? And it's kind of tough to do, but I actually ended up kind of jumping in on certain spots too to just because if you only have because the whole point of gang vocals is like you want to make it sound like you got 50 people in a room, right?
mhm.
So we basically like and huge shout out to him and my other buddy Tommy White who came to do the gang vocals. But like we just layered multiple takes, switching positions like back and forth to make it sound like a huge crowd, and I really think it worked out. But I'm
Oh,
really
for sure.
happy that they were patient with me and were able to give their time and to make it sound huge, right? So
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
Streaming services. I know it's on. I have it on Spotify. I'm sure it's on a bunch more too.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, it's basically yeah, it's on Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube Music, basically all the main streaming services, yeah. So,
So what goes into? I think I know the answer to it anyway. But what goes into releasing a cover song on a streaming service?
it's actually pretty easy. You just have to buy you got to get a license for the song. There's this website called Easy Song Licensing. It's really easy. And yeah, you just buy the license and then I use CD Baby cuz I like CD Baby because you only have to pay a one-time fee. You don't like DistroKid is that's probably the main one that everyone uses, but I think you have to renew it every year. Where on CD Baby you just pay one fee and then the song is on all streaming services for a lifetime. So I kind of like that idea. Um it's not as I think DistroKid's a little bit faster. I know CDB is a little slower, but I just found if I only got to pay one fee one time, that's a little bit easier, right? So,
Yeah.
but it's really not hard to do. Because that was one of the biggest concerns. I was talking to some of my producer friends too, and I'm like, oh man, like am I gonna have to pay for all this licensing to release this and all that? But it's like it's super cheap. It's like $15 to get a license, and
Hmm.
it's a very easy process. So yeah,
Oh, decent.
yeah,
Yeah, I think we use TuneCore. I'm pretty sure it's
okay, yeah,
like we run two bands off there, and you got to pay for one band. You got to pay for the second
okay,
band, which is a cheaper rate, but then it's annual, right?
yeah,
So
yeah,
interesting. I know CD Baby with our EP stuff. We already looked into them
yeah.
to get CDs and everything, for the release.
For
So
sure. Like I think if I was like releasing music like constantly all the time, then I would probably go with DistroKid just because or TuneCore are like probably the one of the main ones. Um just because I'll know I'll constantly be using it, but if I'm just releasing, I'm not always going to be doing cover songs all the time, so I just felt like CD Baby was a bit, better the answer for that. So,
yeah, no kidding. Eh?
yeah. Yeah.
You got any other projects on the go right now?
Yes. So I'm working on a cover of Out of the Black. And that one's got well, you had Dale on here, right? And
Hmm.
Evan. And then also got one of my buddies, Dan Boyer, did the drums. John did the bass. I did some guitar work. Dale did some guitar work on it. So yeah, it's gonna be out soon. Probably. I'm still doing a little bit of work on it, but probably within the next month or so. That's what I'm shooting for if I can. So, and same with that song. Like I went very because that song he plays like the bass as a guitar, right? All the Royal Blood stuff. But my vision for this song was to make it sound like a more modernized version of it and a lot more guitar driven. So like a lot of heavy guitar layers. I kind of wanted to make it sound like a more like I mean Royal Blood's definitely got that aggressive rock sound, no doubt about it, but I think my vision for this one is just going a little bit more modern sounding, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
So I'm pretty excited on it. It's really starting to come together, and there's gonna be like some guitar solos on it, and so it's gonna be true to the song, but once again, kind of like Summer of '69, it's gonna have its unique flavor to it. And obviously we got Dale on some guitar part, Evan singing, so yeah, it's gonna be cool. I'm excited. Yeah.
Well, it's got Dale on it. It's gonna have some great tone between you and him. So
Yeah. Yeah, you put Evan and Dale together on a song and it's gonna be awesome. So yeah.
no, that's awesome. Looking
Yeah.
forward to that one.
Yeah, I'm super
Absolutely.
excited on it too. So yeah, it's gonna be great.
So I think I've said this before when I was working with the Boneyard, doing podcasts for them. I had Brad from Sleepless actually on that one. I
Yep.
was trying to think of where I had him, but that's where he was. But the idea with the Boneyard was it was a lot to go to dig into the Winnipeg music scene, right?
Yep.
And then kind of branched out on my own. And the first three episodes were not Winnipeg yet. Well, John Einerton, author, but he's kind of worldwide anyway. So,
Yep.
but and then I had a girl from Nashville on there, and I've kind of reached out and gone outside Winnipeg, but something recently, kind of wrote me back into just want to do Winnipeg again. And I think I'll kind of branch out again, but there's something just so special at Winnipeg. And I've said it a million times that it's just such a deep scene. And,
Yeah. Yeah.
I've seen you at the Tap House and obviously saw you at the Albert
Yep.
for our show there. And,
Yep.
there's just so many good bands out there. And I was just looking at the Tap House before we went live here, actually, before you came on. I was looking at the Tap House list for November, and it's just huge
Yeah.
and such different bands. But you think you see it all, and then you go to an event like the Loud Awards, which was a couple of months ago there, and I walked in there and thought, oh, I'm going to see a bunch of people that I've had on the podcast. I'm going to see a bunch of people I've heard of, yada yada yada. I get there and I saw a couple of people from podcast, and then I didn't know anyone, and
Yeah.
I thought it was such a cool thing that there's a whole other music scene of Winnipeg that is completely undiscovered for
Yeah.
myself, right?
Yeah.
And anyway, it's a great thing, like I was saying before we went on, that my band's playing at Bulldog, and I said, we got a couple of metal bands playing with us, which we're not a metal band, so
Yeah.
so it's gonna be a little different. But just talking about Winnipeg and just the genre bending and just everything with it. What's your take on the Winnipeg scene and where it's at right now?
I think it's odd. Like I said, I've been checking out local shows on a regular basis for the last 2 years, and it's just great. There's so much diversity in the music. It's not just one genre. There's so many different genres, and yeah, almost every show I've went out to, I've always just gone super excited. Like it's just there's so many good bands, and there's constantly new ones coming up all the time. So and there's so many great venues to shows too, right? Like I know when I was playing, like the Park was a big thing. Park Theater was really big. I mean, it still is now. There's lots of stuff going on there. But I like the Tap House, I think has been really booming too lately with shows because they got shows going on all the time, right? So
Mm-hmm.
um yeah, it's been awesome to just get out and meet, everybody's so friendly and everyone's out supporting each other all the time. And that's what's needed, right? In order for everybody to thrive, we all got to support each other in one way or another. So it's great. Yeah. Awesome
Mm-hmm.
people in Winnipeg. So yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And it's quite the strip, and I live 2 blocks from it here, but I got the Park Theater almost at the end of my street here, and then we got Park Alleys, obviously,
Yeah.
Tap House, the
Yep.
Toad,
Yep.
and the side stage, which just opened 3 weeks ago or so. Two
Okay.
weeks,
Yeah, I was
3 weeks
gonna
ago.
say that I haven't, like, when I saw your poster for that show, I was like, I've never heard of that place yet, so it must be pretty fresh, right? So
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't wanna say something incorrect here, but I feel that it's somehow tied in with the Park Theater.
Okay.
But I drove by it the first night. It was packed, front
Okay.
to back. It was packed. I drove past it the next night or whatever, packed again.
Yeah.
And that's such a good thing too. That it's just a hell of a strip here down in Osborne with some great venues. And you mentioned the Tap House, and I can't say enough good things about the Tap House. They gave my band a chance, and we went in there, did our thing, and we will be hosting our EP release there in
Yeah.
February.
Yep.
And but and Riley's just a great guy to have in there too, right?
Yep.
And
Yep.
the sound guy was unbelievable, but
Yep.
it's just so good. I love the new Thursdays. Obviously, when we played there, we played with Fox and Sound and Radio Riders. Fox and Sound, never heard of. Great band, great
Okay.
people that came out
Okay.
of that. Um, but yeah, I went another night, and there was some other bands never heard of. They were fantastic, and
Yeah.
they're always pushing new music. I love it. They get some out of town bands sometimes. It's nice to see.
Yeah. I think that the last show I was at there, I think that's when we were chatting, but the Castangs played and I was like,
Yeah,
holy crap, these guys are awesome.
are they so good?
Like, yeah, like I remember just like I think I was just sitting out in the crowd and I was just hanging out with Dale a little bit and we're just like blown away how cool they were. Like just a great
Yeah,
sound. Yeah. That was the first time. No, I think that was the second time I saw them play, but the first time I saw them was a little while ago. But yeah, man, those guys are so good. Yeah, it was.
For
I
sure.
just walked out of that place. I was like, holy shit, that was awesome. Like, yeah.
You know what?
So
I was in Calgary last weekend, where probably the place I picked up this godforsaken cold. But anyway, I was in Calgary, and we went down to the Saddle Dome to watch the Jets game. And lo and behold, the Castaigns were playing 3 blocks away from me.
okay, yeah,
Unbelievable. I didn't go,
yeah,
but they post on their social media in Calgary today at the Palomino in Calgary. So I googled it from where I was, and it was like 3 blocks away or
yeah,
something. And I'm like, "Are
yeah,
you kidding me?"
yeah,
Like, what? So I'm like, I told the people that I was with, I'm like, this band is playing, so we might have to go check them out.
yeah. They're
And
just
then,
they're so cool. They got such like you can tell they have their own thing, and it's just I don't know. It's so inspiring when you see bands like that. Yeah,
yeah, for sure. And you know
yeah,
what? And once again, it's a style of music I wasn't expecting. I didn't know what to expect. I
yeah,
think when I heard of them, I was expecting this like hardcore punk rock show, but it was so different. And the drummer there, Marge, when she came up behind the kit and she'd do her little thing on the floor and stuff,
yeah,
and it was so cool. Great live band, and you see that they do some traveling and stuff. And like I said, I was just in Calgary. They were out there, and good to see a band just kind of getting out doing that. And but I'm a fan overnight, just like that. It was like,
yeah,
yeah, no,
yeah,
they're awesome. They're
yeah.
fantastic.
And you really see like you really see the passion when they play. Like they're so
Hmm.
into what they're doing. And I think when bands when you see people play live and you really see them getting into it, like the people in the audience feel it too, right? Like
Yeah,
so it's I feel like it's important when you see when you're really playing music that's true to you and authentic to you, that's gonna inspire the audience too, right? So yeah, it's and I totally got that with them, so it was
yeah,
great. Yeah.
absolutely. There's a comment here. We'll maybe touch on this a bit. Alex says Luke, the musician, production wizard. Alex, so you were involved in Pure Entry's EP.
Yes, yeah, we did the EP. Just a blast. It turned out awesome. Great songs. I
Hmm.
mean, every good EP album single starts with great songs, right?
Yeah,
The songs have to be awesome, and yeah, every single song on that EP was great. So it was just an awesome project to work on, and I was super excited that they asked me to do it. I mean, we started off with we had done a single before that. Slipping Slowly was the first single that they released. We did that, and then we moved on to the EP. And yeah, it definitely worked on it for a long time, but I think it turned out awesome. So and it's a
hmm,
super fun project. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely great people too.
Yep.
And Alex says he's been a rock for me too.
Yeah. I
He's
noticed
helped us out of,
he was drumming for you guys there. Yeah.
yeah, a couple times he has now. So
Yeah.
but yeah, he's been great. And you know what, the Pure Entry guys, they're so good. And
Yeah.
we've kind of latched on with them. They're involved in 3 of the shows that we're doing.
Yeah. I've really noticed like, they've been playing a lot, and it's awesome
Yeah.
to see because like it's kind of funny because when I did their first single, I was kind of just starting to really get into the production stuff, and they were just starting as a band, and to see like the evolution from how far they've gone from from that to now has been awesome because like I see like almost every other show poster I see is like Pure Entry, so it's like
Yeah.
it's awesome to see. I love seeing bands just crushing it, right? So
Yeah.
it's inspiring. Yeah.
Yeah, they're a good band, good live band. Their new music that they've been playing at their last couple shows too, just
Yeah. Yeah. It's
great.
awesome. Yeah.
Looking forward to hearing
Yeah.
some of it get
It's
recorded. And
it's definitely sounding like a bit of it because I know they've had some member changes, so it's sounding a bit different, but it's awesome. It's really cool. I'm loving
yeah,
it.
for sure.
Yeah.
Who are some other bands locals that you're fans of?
Well, obviously, like Northern Royals, Exo Merida, like those guys are just next level. I just
Yeah.
love, Sleepless, like great. Also
Mm-hmm.
ran. Um, Omens were awesome at the Northern Royals seed. You really enjoyed them.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't know. And I'm just constantly the Castangs. Like I'm just every time I go, I end up leaving with a new band that I like. So it's the list is just constantly growing, and there's definitely shows where I'm like, oh man, like I would love to, work with these guys or something. Just you hear the songs, like, man, I'd love to do something with these guys one day, right? Because you get inspired by the music, and that
Mm-hmm.
just inspires you as a producer too, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
I
It's
love going to shows because I'm just constantly discovering, and it's like, you meet guys in one band, and then they play with this other new band that you never heard of, and then you're like, oh man, who are these guys? And it's
yeah.
like, so it's awesome because you meet new people, and then you meet like it just extends out to other people, and you're just constantly discovering new awesome music. So
Yeah, exactly.
it's
And
exciting. Yeah.
it's so cool with the just with the local seed people and I've only been talking to some people. I've known like the Northern Royals guys for years. There's a backstory with that, but
Yep.
known them for a long time, but just kind of getting out there, meeting people. And, I've gone a couple of places where it's like, oh, yeah, that guy's on my friends list on Facebook. That guy is,
Yeah.
she is. I never met any of these people, but
Yeah.
there's just that connection, right?
Yeah.
Where people are adding people all the time. And, it's a lot of networking. And that's kind of what it comes down to is networking, right? And
100%. Yep.
just
Yep.
talking to people, getting out there. And
Yep.
I forget what, I'm sure Alex will remember this. I forget what made me message Alex in the first place. Oh, I had them on the Boneyard. That's why. Like,
Yeah.
how did I
Yep.
meet Alex? But yeah, I had him on the Boneyard. But yeah, and it's all about networking the city, and people are so good, supportive, and I haven't met someone yet that it's like, wow, I think they're got ulterior motives and stuff,
Yep.
right? But
Yep.
yeah, it's just support and getting out there and meeting people at these at the venues. And there's a bunch of places I haven't been to yet that I still want to get out to. I haven't been to Park Alleys yet. I want to get out there.
Yep.
Um, obviously Side Stage coming up. They got some good shows coming up though.
Oh yeah, I know.
There's
I
a
I
Creed
started
thing there.
every time I see a poster go up, I just take a screenshot of it so I remember. Like, yeah, I gotta go check this one out, and right, because sometimes, and then there's sometimes it's like, oh, I can't go to this one because there's this other one tonight, but
Oh
I'll check it out next time, right? So
yeah. Well,
yeah,
that's
it's
I forget who it was. There was one night and there was like four different things going on. And it's like, how does someone keep up? And I thought, I'm going to do it. I'm going to try and bounce back and forth a little
yes,
bit.
yeah.
And I could.
Yeah, yeah, I know it's tough, right? Especially like I know you have a family and stuff too, right? So it's not you're not always able to get out, but you just you do the best you can, and because it's like you touched on, it is all about networking, right? Like you're the people and this is something that I've learned through from very successful whether artists or producers. They they started off their careers by networking, right? That's how it works. Because people work with people that they trust, right? So you need to build relationships with people, and that whether that's as an artist, because if you're in a band, you need to build relationships with other bands to book shows together and whatnot. And it's the same thing with production or anything else. Like, it's just like if you're gonna hire anybody else for any other business, right? Who are you gonna call? You're gonna call somebody that you've been referred to, or somebody that you know and that you trust, right?
Mhm.
Because music is very, uh, as an artist, it's very important to you, and you want to make sure that whether you're recording or playing or whatever, whoever you're involved with is going to do a good job and is going to represent what you wanted in the first place. Because if you don't find somebody you trust, it can really go backwards, right? So
Yeah, absolutely.
it's very important, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. No, and like I said, just great people that are out there,
Yep,
and obviously you're meeting people through your means of stuff, and I've
yep,
just met some great people through the podcast stuff that I've never actually. I would say of everyone I've had on here that I've met in person after,
yep,
yeah, I would say, yeah, I knew Evan, and that's it. I met Dale the night before he came on here.
yep,
Just and it's just cool. Just reach out to people, and people are so good about coming on and just talking about their music and stuff, right? Which who wouldn't want to
Yeah,
talk about their
and
music, right?
it's so awesome that we have guys like you doing stuff like this. It just, I don't know, it just helps other people see what we're doing, and we get to talk about the stuff that we like to do and whatnot, right? So it's awesome that, because I've seen a couple guys that have been doing podcasts like kind of similar to yours. um, so we need guys like you doing stuff like this too. So it's awesome that you bring on a bunch of people on here, because it's an easy way to talk about us and what we're doing, and if people want to check it out or whatnot. So it's great,
Hmm.
right? Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. I like talking about the live shows too, like bands that are coming up and stuff. So
absolutely.
usually
Yeah,
plug the tap house with things, and but
yeah,
yeah, they got some good shows coming up, and yeah, just looking forward to getting out and doing some things, and getting out and listening to more music. Looking
yeah.
forward to
How
more.
about sorry, I was just gonna say, how about yourself, Joel, for studio? Because you guys are heading into the studio soon too, right? So
Yeah.
how is that process looking for you guys?
So it's all new to me.
Okay, okay.
So when I asked you earlier, give me a short rundown for people who don't know. I might have been talking about myself. Um, I have not done anything that way. Everything that I have recorded that is on Spotify or anywhere else has been in this room.
Okay, okay.
Behind me, I always make the joke that is not a shower, that is a makeshift vocal booth, which is actually it is solid. It's all paneled, and I got a blackout curtain. It's about like a quarter inch thick.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
when you talk out here and you talk in there, it's a completely different thing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Just a
Yeah.
black hole in there. So,
Yeah.
so everything I've done has actually been in this room, and then drums we've done have been electric drums or at
Okay.
our drummer's house where we've actually tracked his, but we haven't really released anything great. Like I've mixed and done everything
Okay. Okay.
here using Pro Tools. So this is all new to us. However, our drummer, he's the drummer for 5 More Miles, who will be
Okay.
playing with a couple shows. Um, he has recorded with 5 More Miles as well as another band. He did
Okay.
Private Ear, and then he did, I don't want to say bed paint box.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
so he was
I've
at
heard those. Yep.
Paintbox. So
Okay.
so I find he's maybe our secret weapon, and he's gonna be really helpful with us in the studio in when we go in. And my brother-in-law, who plays bass for us, his dad has a couple albums out as well.
Okay.
So
Awesome.
he's brought a bit of experience. So I don't think he's probably watching this right now. So I'm kind of hoping he might come out for a day and just kind of sit in and get his thoughts, because we all kind of respect what he thinks of our music,
Yeah.
right? So
Absolutely. Yeah.
it's good to have that other ear in there too. And but yeah, that's what it. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, we've three of us have never done it like that. We've just kind of done it here, but to actually go
Sure.
in somewhere and do something, and looking forward to it. It's our first one, and
Yep.
we got a lot of songs written. We got we're gonna record 5, maybe 6 if we can stretch 6.
Okay.
But I think we got 10 songs, and it's so hard. I think one of the hardest things if you're doing an EP is if you got a bunch of songs, how to cut the songs.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
which songs are we not doing? We already know which ones we're not doing. We know which ones we are.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think obviously where we're doing it, it'll be a lot of fun. We're going out to the city for it, and it's just gonna be fun. I'm looking forward to. I'm getting ahead here, but I'm looking forward to recording it, doing the EP release in February,
Yeah.
and then by that time, our songwriter, like vocalist guy, he's a machine. He's
Yeah. He
always
just hammers out
he's
songs. Yeah.
always
That's
writing. I don't know
awesome.
if I'm turning this show into about me now.
That's all
I
right.
don't know if I've ever told you it, but we have a system, and it's so weird. He basically comes in and writes these songs, and he brought all these songs. This was a side project at first. This
Okay.
was like kind of like the thing on the side that me and my brother-in-law were doing, right? Because we have our other band, and then it kind of just took off, and there's a lot of dedication to it. We're all kind of really dialed in.
Yep.
The other band, we just we're good. We just there's families involved. Like the other couple, they have a young boy at home, so we kind of put that a little bit on the back burner, I'd say.
Yep. Yep.
So anyway, got going with Valley Narrow here, and yeah, just a lot of dedication. But so Eric brings these songs in, and he's written them kind of like as folky songs, right?
Yep.
And then my brother-in-law he's just so talented in every way, and he basically constructed the songs a little bit, put a bridge on them, changed a couple of things, made it more dynamic, and then I basically come in and throw this punk rock octave, hard
Sure.
rock
Yep.
chords and solos
Yep.
and stuff into it, right? So
Yep.
that's why I said before we start talking here that we don't have a we really don't fall in a genre right now, and we've had compliments from like metal guys. People hear us practicing in my house, and we've got tragically hip things a couple times. Actually, a guy stopped me in my back alley like a
Awesome.
week ago. I was taking the garbage out. He's like, "Hey, you guys sound like the hip," and I'm like, "Not really." Then I think about it after. I'm like, actually, kind of in a sense.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
there's hipness to it, but yeah. Long answer short, I'm excited to get in the studio.
Absolutely,
I'm
man. Yeah,
looking
and it's
forward to doing that, finishing it, EV, releasing songs, playing more shows. We got a bunch coming up. And then I'm looking forward to writing more songs. We already have a couple ideas in the books that are so different than what we're already doing.
yep.
But at that point, maybe it's I'd like to work with some other people too. No offense to the guy that we haven't even worked with yet, but I'd like
Yep.
to work with other people and
Yep.
you're yourself, you're out there, and I know Jen from Studio 23. She's talked to us a few times about coming out there. Jody Hunter,
Yep.
but
Yep.
yeah, just
And that's just the thing too. Like every because you see a lot of bands like I mean some bands will be working with the same producer for a long time, but you also see bands working with and the reason like they're doing that is because every it's impossible um to be good at every genre as a producer. I mean maybe someone out there is, but in my opinion it's you just can't. It's just because the way you do things and I mean you can definitely like I said, I've done heavier rock, I've done more mellow stuff. You can definitely do multiple genres, but I really do believe that a lot of guys offer a certain sound just like a band. A band has a certain sound, so a producer has a certain sound, a certain genre that he puts out there, a certain style of how he
mhm,
does things. And I really think that that's why you see all these bands like, they might go work with this one guy and then the next record they got a different vision, so they worked with this other guy that's kind of so I think it's important to when you're even for bands when they're looking at working with a producer, it's like, okay, what do I like about this guy? You listen to the guy's portfolio. What do I like about his style? Because if that's what I'm looking for, this guy might be a great fit for me. And that's why there's so many different people, right, to work with.
mhm,
And
mhm.
that's what's so great about it, because everybody brings just like an artist brings a unique thing to the table, right? So
Yeah,
yeah,
it's so cool to hear you say stuff like that too, right?
yeah,
And you're completely right. It's like going to get a tattoo, right? You know,
100%.
I've
Yeah,
been places where they're like, no, I won't do that, but this is what I do. I
yep,
got, I had two cover ups done, and it's hard to find a person who does cover ups, but not only that, finding someone who does cover ups that like the one is completely hidden. You would never even know anything was there, right? So,
yep,
and that's one of the specialties of that person. So to hear you talk
100%.
about that, you're right, and where we're going. We listened to a couple albums that were done there, and yeah, it's kind of our sound right now. So I think it's the right move.
Yep,
But
yep.
like I said, we got a couple things going on that are a little. There's some weird like keyboard stuff,
Awesome.
song that I've been working on for like 2 years that I think we might venture into. So, but
Well, and I was just to touch on that, like on the flip side of that too, it's like, I worked with a new band that they've been out since I think last year called Out of Cyan. They're like
mm,
this 80s pop like shoegaze and they contacted me to mix a song and I was kind of like my portfolio is like all heavy hardcore rock. And so when they reached out to me, I was super excited because I was like, wow, this is like a completely different genre that I've never done. But I was like, I absolutely want to do this because it just it just goes to show like even though I did touch on, yeah, it's good to specialize, but sometimes, you'd be surprised. You could have a mellow song, send it off to like a dude that works on heavy rock, and it can turn out really cool too,
yeah,
right?
exactly right.
So, it goes both ways, I would definitely say. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
They played with Jared Adams at the Darling Bar a
Yeah,
couple
they're super
months
cool.
ago.
Yeah, they
So
got like this really cool like 80s dream pop kind of vibe, like very like I remember on the song I mixed for them, it was like they used like this drum machine, like I think it was like Lynn drums, like those old like 80s drums. So it was like, I don't know, it was so cool to work on a track like that.
yeah,
So yeah, it was super exciting. Yeah.
awesome. Ah, it's good.
Yeah.
Once again, just one of those things where there's so many cool undiscovered bands out there too, right? So
Yeah, and like I love like I love like if somebody sends me something I've never worked with, I'm like hell yes, like throw it at me. Let's see what I could do with it, right? Even though like I love doing things out of my comfort zone, right? It's just I love to we always whether you're a producer or an artist, just like you're talking about, you love to push yourself and try different things. Like you might identify yourself as a more indie band or something, but you might mix something else in there and it might sound really cool or it might not sound good. But what do you have to lose, right?
exactly
You got
right.
nothing,
Exactly.
right? So
I got one more thing for you
sure. Yep.
before we go off. I
Yep.
I started a thing like 4 podcasts ago where I ask a random question at the end,
Yep.
and I usually try to tie it into something related. But just going back to your summer of '69 with your collaboration,
Yep.
who is your dream collaboration, living or dead musicians?
My dream like if I were to pick artists
Yeah,
to collaborate with. Oh man. That's a tough question.
I know it's a good one.
um oh man. Like is like any artist or
yeah,
like
anyone.
okay. Um I would probably on drums, I would probably take Matt Halpern from Periphery because that guy's just an insane drummer. Either him or uh, what's his name? I can't think of the guy's name. The drummer from Intervals is insane too. Like to do a collaboration. I can't remember what his first name is. Jacob Umansky from Intervals is like the most crazy bass player I've ever heard in my life. So that would be another one on bass. And then obviously you're gonna see I'm a huge Intervals fan. I don't know if you're familiar with them, but Aaron Marshall from Intervals is a machine on the guitar. So those would be in terms of musicians, probably my top right there.
Mm-hmm.
And then
I
for
wrote those down. I'm gonna look
yeah,
into these.
yeah, yeah. Check out the new Intervals records. Like it's so meticulous how the work and the guitars and stuff. Um, and then like vocals, I would probably go like um Caleb Shomo from Beartooth is like insane. I don't know if you
Hmm,
listen to Beartooth at all, but
I've
that
heard of them.
guy,
Yeah.
yeah, that guy can just rip on vocals. So that would probably be if we're talking about like anybody on the planet.
No, no, that's good.
Locally, there's a lot of other dudes too. I mean, I've already got some of them. Like Evan and Dale were definitely on my top list, but there's a bunch of other ones too in the city that are just next level. So
Who's your Alex says
who's
who's
your
your favorite
favorite
producer of all time?
who's your favorite producer of all time? Oh man, I really like a guy that I've really been following a lot is Sam Goyana. He's produced a lot of this. He's a great like his productions are just and Zach Servini like the stuff Zach Servini's been putting out. Like that guy's mixing so much stuff right now, and is like, yeah, he's inspiring me to just get better and better at my craft because his mixes are just they're huge sounding, man. Like he's mixing everything now. Like everyone's like, who mixed that? Especially if you're like listening to like a lot of like more metalcore, pop punk, like a lot of the bigger stuff. Like he just did some all time low stuff. He did a day to remember. Like man, his mixes just sound huge, and I'm like, how the hell does he do it? So he's for sure probably one of my favorites. Yeah.
Have you ever seen that interview with Rick Rubin where they ask him, "Do you have any musical ability?" No, I
If I
don't. Do you know how to read music? And he's like, "No." He knows he can't. He like he was saying in the thing, he doesn't really know how to do anything. And then it was Anderson Cooper, I think, that asked him, and he said, "Then why do people come to you?" And he said, "Because I know what I like." And I forget what he said, but it's basically he knows what he likes,
yep.
and people pay him for that knowledge.
Well, exactly, right? And like I don't know, like I can read like I teach music for a living too, right? So
Mhm.
I mean, I can read music, but it's not it's not a bad skill to have, but it's not, music is sound and hearing, right? Like,
Hmm.
that I think that's one of the big, and then just let me know if we're going too long here, but,
Oh, I know.
um, music is sound, man. Like that's kind of one of the problems, with if we're on the topic of production and mixing right now, everything's on screens now, so we're relying so much on our eyes too much, and we're not using our ears enough. Because if you look at back in the day, like everything was done on consoles and stuff, right? So they didn't have any visual. They're just like, okay, does this sound good? Do I tweak what, where should I turn this knob to? They're not looking at the screen. So like I even have to catch myself when I'm mixing sometimes. Like I'm just like I'm closing my eyes or I'm just looking away, and I'm just trying to listen. Does it? Because I'm relying too much on my eyes. So that's super super important, mega important. I think that's
Hmm.
why like, as much as technology is amazing right now and you can do amazing things from your basement pretty much. You can make a huge record in your basement. But I think one of the things that you have to be careful with is just like, don't use your eyes, right? And that was something one of my mentors told me, like, use your ears, man. That's you're gonna be your best bet, right? So
Hmm.
it's easy to get caught in that trap for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Did
Yep.
that answer your question, Alex? Poor
Yeah,
Alex.
huge Cervini fan for sure. I love his stuff.
Yeah. No, that's awesome.
What about
That's
you,
awesome.
Joel? Any producers come to mind that you?
I don't really know producers, to be honest. You know what? I think that's I'm so invested in the music itself. Sometimes I kind of forget what it takes to get there, right? Like people talk about overproduction and stuff like that. I've never listened to it to understand it. I understand it, but I never listened to an album and be like, oh, it's overproduced. I don't know enough about that stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what I need to know more about, right? Like I said, anything I've done here, I've mixed. I've put like a semi-master thing on it, but
Yeah.
when I mix it, I basically just go in for whatever sounds right? But
Sure. Yep.
but yeah, when it comes to production stuff, I get it, I understand it, but I don't pay attention to it. And I can see that it's something that you're very interested in just the way you talk, and that you pulled out two people. I've never heard of them before, right? And that's just perfectly fine. I love that you pulled out two names like that and just kind of talked about them, and it kind of puts me in your ears, right? That
Yeah.
he's
Absolutely.
listening. He's listening for something that I'm not listening to, right? It's like growing up. I used to know words to every song,
Yep. Yep.
lyrics, every song. Now, some of my favorite bands, I have no clue what the lyrics are. I'm never listening to the lyrics. I'm listening to everything behind it, right? And it's just one of those things where your ears you change what you're listening to, right? I could.
Absolutely. And like one of the things too is like once you get into production and stuff like that, um, you start. It's because you start hearing songs, and when you have the knowledge of, if you know how to make records or whatever. If you're in a band, you know how to make a great song. So
Mhm.
you start hearing all these things that they did, and you know, as whether you're an artist or a producer, the work that's involved in making it sound like that. That's what makes you really appreciate. Like when you hear huge drums on a record, like there was so much work involved to make those drums sound huge, or that, that's those super tight guitars that were tracked. Like if you saw how modern records are made now, like it's like so meticulously done, it's insane. Like I tracked guitars on Summer of '69. Like those guitars were tracked like literally 2 bars at a time, like just da 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 da, and then just you're constantly cutting and pasting stuff to make
Mm.
it sound super tight. Um, because that's kind of what it is now. Everything's so, it's kind of, it's a blessing and a curse, I guess, because things are gone to such a high level of in terms of how perfect things are compared to back in the day when records were just, and the stuff back in the day still sounds awesome, but it's just our ears now are used to hearing, super solid drums that are perfectly on time, perfect guitars, perfect vocals, like, so yeah, things have changed, and it's not that one sounds necessarily better. It's just the way things are done now versus before. It's totally different.
Mm-hmm.
So it's crazy. So when you hear that stuff, when you hear a huge, a production like I talked about, I know the amount of work that's involved in that, and that's why I'm like, holy crap! Like, how did they do this,
Yeah,
right? Because
exactly. Eh?
it's insane. Yeah. So
What do you think the future of production and just recording is with AI out there right now?
um, I think it's funny because I've talked about this with people in my production circle. Some guys get worried because like, oh, we're gonna lose our jobs or whatever. Um, I think AI. I've tried some of the AI stuff now, and I don't know, like it's not even close to. It can serve a purpose. Don't get me wrong. If you just want something quick, just to get a quick ballpark idea, but like AI mixing, like I don't even know if it exists. It probably does exist already. I've never looked at it, but to me, like there's so much nuances and specific things when you're mixing that is tailored to every song. So how can AI know? Because an AI can only copy what you tell it to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it can unless AI ever evolves to something where I don't know, it gets so smart where it knows if something sounds. I don't know. I don't know how too much about it, but it's so every song that I ever mix. Okay, I'm doing similar things, but it's all tailored. Like there might be something that sounds weird at frequency. Like how is AI going to figure that out, right? So I don't know. I'm not. It's not something that I think about too much. I don't think it's even close to being there. Maybe one day it will. Who knows? I mean, it's getting insane, but I don't think. I think AI is gonna maybe eventually get to a point where, like, like editing, like tasks that can be repeated and are always the same. I
Mm-hmm.
think eventually it'll get there, and great because editing's a pain in the butt. So if I could get AI to do that for me, excellent. It saves
Yeah, no
me
kidding, eh?
tons of tedious work. So, but I don't think you can replace a human creative mind. A human creative mind adds such a uniqueness to a song, whether you're writing a song or you're mixing a song, whatever you're doing. I don't think that can be replaced. That's my opinion, but who knows? Maybe I'll be proven wrong one day. You never know, right?
Yeah,
So,
no, it's wild. The whole AI thing is it's just crazy. Like I remember there was now like 4 months ago, 5 months ago, a guy from Long McQuaid was telling me about some app, and he said just tell it to write a song about
yeah,
anything. So
yeah.
I told it to write a song about a dog catching a frisbee or something, and it wrote like a 3 minute country song, and it
Wow.
was like, are you like within like 30 seconds, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And I think the thing that I would be more worried about is I think they've already done it. They already have someone released a record. It was all like AI. Like they had nothing to do. All they did was tell it what to do.
yeah,
And it was like, holy crap. I think that'd be the only thing. It's like Billy Corgan from the Pumpkins said, like eventually people aren't even gonna write the song anymore.
yeah,
They're just gonna tell it what to write, and it's gonna write the song, it'll write everything for it, right? And I've done it before where I've used whatever Chat GPT like branch of it or whatever and told it to write I forget what it was. It was like some write a melodic riff in the style of Silver Sun pickups or something, and it
okay,
wrote something. It
yeah,
was like, holy crap. It was
yeah,
actually pretty good, but it's like
yeah,
eventually is that what it turns into, right? Is that people aren't even, you think of the bands writing these songs and these iconic songs, and it's like, can can AI write a song that would be a hit like a Taylor Swift hit, right? Like
sure,
something where it's just massive. Could it be done where someone just something tells the computer to, hey, write a song with this, and it produces this monster smash hit, right?
exactly, yeah.
And it's like, yeah, that's kind of crazy.
It's like you kind of start wondering. It's like it's not going to be like it's going to be who's going to be able to give the AI the best instructions now on making
Exactly,
something
right?
versus
And
right.
And even off topic of music, this thing I was at in Calgary, like I work for a car dealership, right? So, we had a presentation from marketing about AI, and it is literally so advanced that like we have a thing that it's not doing it yet, but it will actually like send a note to a customer and say, like, it'll show their car, it'll address their name and everything, it'll say what services they're due for, and it's all AI'd into an appointment schedule. And it's like overnight, it basically picks up everything, goes through their entire history, and picks up on all the stuff that they haven't done for service or anything, and it just sends it out there. And it's like, holy crap,
Yeah.
like it's just crazy what it can do now, right?
Yeah, I know. And I think for certain things, like I said, little tedious tasks that
Hmm.
are repeatable, it's fantastic. Like great, bring it on, right?
Yeah.
Um, I see no issue with that. But yeah, I don't know. Who knows? Like I don't know if you've listened to like this they have Atmos now, like it's I don't know, it's like you play songs and it makes you like feel like you're like in a like a 3D environment. I haven't even like tried it yet, but I've heard about it.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think it's built in Spotify now, but I don't know. And like a lot of producers in my circle have been like, "Oh, do we need to learn how to get an Atmos rig?" And like an Atmos rig is really expensive because you need all these speakers and stuff. But I think it's just like a fad. Like no one's really like buying into it that much.
Hmm.
And I don't know. Sometimes I wonder if AI is gonna like die. I don't know. It's tough to say, but um, only time will tell, right? So,
Yeah,
but it is
exactly.
crazy. It's
I just
crazy.
hope, if anything, I would just take away from the quality of things, right? So
Exactly. You know, and I like I said, I don't see it anytime soon replacing the creative mind because we're capable
no,
as humans, we're capable of amazing things. I don't know.
yeah,
I
for
just
sure,
don't
right?
think AI can get there just yet. So,
I'll jump
yeah.
on the AI train when Neil Young does.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, it's been a great chat with you.
Yeah,
We've
dude.
gone 56 minutes.
Oh
Amazing.
man.
I love
Dude,
it.
I could have went longer, man.
I
When
know,
we
you
start
know,
talking about music, we could
I
just
know.
yeah.
It's like
So,
when I had the boneyard, I talked to Matt Corey. Me and Matt
okay.
Corey, we went an hour,
Yeah.
and then I realized I had a second one after.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
had Jen Minoz was after, and I'm like, oh my god, I gotta get
I
Jen
gotta
on here
go.
too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so me and Matt got to line up night number two, but you and me will do the same sometime.
Absolutely, man.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, man.
Anytime. Yeah.
And you know what? It's great meeting you when I met you a month and a bit ago there.
Yeah. Likewise, man.
And
Yeah.
yeah, once again, you're one of those guys that just reassures me there's good people in Winnipeg. And
Tons, man. Yeah.
you know, I just met some good people
Yep.
along the way. And
And there's just gonna be more. So it's
yeah, for
we're
sure.
just getting the party started. So
For sure, man. Okay, well,
okay, man.
I'll talk to you later, and
Yeah.
hopefully see you on the 21st.
Absolutely, man.
All
Well,
right,
I'll definitely be there. You bet.
right on. We'll see
Okay.
you then.
Have a good night,
Okay.
man. See you later.